schedule, but they're going to play at Stanford. That's going to be a tough one, no question about that. Florida State at number 12. Obviously, the quarterback is the big question. Can he light it up in front and take over for E.J. Manuel? And obviously, you have notables: Texas, Oklahoma State at 14, 15. Oklahoma State at 14, Texas at 15, and Oklahoma at 16. Other notables in not BCS, non-BCS, like automatic qualifier schools. You have TCU and Boise State. TCU at 20, Boise State at 19. Can they keep up those traditions the last couple years where they're winning 10, 11 games and surprising teams to get to BCS games? So we'll see what happens with that. And rounding out the top 25, you have UCLA at 21, Northwestern at 22. They had a great season last year. Wisconsin at 23, USC at 24. That's the only one that bothers me because we do not know what they're going to have at quarterback. Matt Barkley's gone on the NFL, 4-year starter, great leadership. I do not know who can replace him. I mean, obviously, everyone says Max Whittick is going to be the guy, 6'4", 235. Yeah, he has size, but there are other quarterbacks on this roster that I feel are a little bit better. Let's look at the roster really quickly. All right, pulling it up. Cody Kessler seems to be the guy that everyone's talking about. 6'1", 215, a sophomore from Bakersfield, California. Yeah, this is supposed to be the guy that takes over for him, but if Max Whittick's going to be better, I don't know. I don't trust Max Whittick, and especially in a year where Lane Kiffin has to win 9-10 games to probably save his job this season. Being the preseason number 1 last year and being unranked with 5 losses last year, at the end of last year, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to watch. No doubt. And then rounding out the top 25, we have Oregon State. Now, I don't really agree with these preseason rankings, but it sets up for great matchups early in the season. And honestly, by October, I feel like the rankings are really going to play out. But hey, if you're at Louisville, you're a great spot at number 9. All you have to do is win your games, blow everyone out by 20, 30 points, and maybe you get to the national championship. Maybe you jump that one loss Alabama or one loss Texas A&M. We'll see. And for Texas A&M, they're in a load of trouble. Here comes the headlines.
So light 'em up, light 'em up, light 'em up. I'm on fire.
Huge headline this morning. Johnny Manziel is being investigated by the NCAA for signing autographs. Wow. You've got to be kidding me. Johnny Manziel, what do you have to say about this guy, really? According to the article, a prominent autograph broker on eBay said that Nate Finch, Johnny Manziel's friend and personal assistant, approached him last season to let him know that Manziel will no longer be signing autographs for him without compensation, according to ESPN's Joe Schad. The broker, who spoke to Schad under the condition of anonymity, said that Manziel signed about 50 items for him at the Texas A&M team hotel the night before the November 10th game at Alabama. The person said that Manziel then signed about 200 more items a few days later, with the broker saying he did not compensate Manziel for either of those sessions. Yeah. If these allegations are true, more than likely, he'll be suspended for at least half the season, if not the whole season. There's been a lot of problems the last couple years with players signing memorabilia or selling memorabilia that they own, and they can get in trouble for it. Seems like your signature is owned by the NCAA, but that's a completely different issue, I suppose. A.J. Green, a couple years ago, before he was famous with the Bengals, was suspended for 4 games because he sold his bowl jersey for $1,000. And we all know about Terrell Pryor. I understand the perspective from those players, specifically coming from backgrounds where maybe they don't have money. And obviously, the issue with the NCAA paying players, that's another topic. But yeah, I mean, they're college students like everybody else. They do have expenses that maybe their scholarship does not cover. And how do they do it? They sell things. But in the case of Johnny Manziel, he's a guy that's very fortunate. He's a guy that has money. His family has money. His grandfather was the reason they have money. Oil in Texas. Yeah, oil money. It's good money. And now he's going off to sell autographs for compensation. What bothers me is, what do you really need, Johnny Manziel? What do you need? Your parents can cover you for whatever you need. I get it. It's an ethical thing. Rules are rules. That's fine. They should be punished all the same. But the fact that he has money, and the fact that his background has been documented so well the last year due to social media and the things he does, he goes out and, he talks about all these things, which grabs the attention of major networks like ESPN and says, hey, maybe this guy's doing something wrong. The more you do, the more under investigation you are, the more literally you are just looked at second by second. And no player in the history of college football has gone through this. And yet, he still goes out and does things that are a problem. Like I said, if these allegations are true and he does get suspended, cross off Texas A&M to be a potential national championship winner, because they are done. Let's say he does get suspended 3-4 games. That covers the Alabama game. I highly doubt whoever they have at quarterback is going to be able to do what he does well, which is throw the ball and run it really well. And against that Alabama defense, it takes a guy with experience. And he's that guy on the roster that can do it. I mean, the only other quarterback that even threw a pass last season for Texas A&M was Jamil Showers. Really? I mean, that's what you have. Looking at the schedule, I mean, Rice, Sam Houston State, maybe. Yeah, you can go 2-0. But when you go September 14th at home against the number one team in the country, the two-time defending national champion, Alabama Crimson Tide, you need your best game, which means you need your best players available. And if he's not available, Alabama is going to run wild on Texas A&M. Alabama has had this game circled for a year since they lost. Luckily, they did go on to win the national championship, but the fact that Johnny Manziel embarrassed them at home in front of a national audience, yeah, Alabama's mad. And if he's not there, it's going to make it a lot easier for Alabama to just run wild all over Texas A&M. No question. I mean, what? Like I said, they do have an easy schedule. They have SMU, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Auburn. Really? Are you going to take those guys seriously? Arkansas, a lot of problems. Ole Miss, they're coming. They're probably a year away from being really good. Auburn was horrible last year. Vanderbilt, not really that much. UTEP, not that great. Mississippi State, not that great. LSU is the only one that's tricky, but I don't think they have enough. And then Missouri. That's it. A lot of questions already for Texas A&M at receiver. They lost 3 of them, and they lost their two offensive linemen, including Luke Jokel, who went number 1 last year in this past NFL draft. It's terrifying if you are a Texas A&M fan. No doubt. It's going to be really scary moving forward, considering the fact that there's so much evidence already. But again, the NCAA is the NCAA. They will find a way to get this guy if all this is true. It's going to be insane. It's honestly, I'm just so stunned at this. Just because this guy has it all. In the matter of a year, he goes from being an unknown quarterback to a guy that can't even talk to the media because he's a freshman, to a guy lighting up the stage, everyone bringing him up. This guy who's fantastic at quarterback, he is Johnny Football. He is the man. And then he goes on to win the Heisman. His ego goes through the roof. And then obviously the things that come out of it, obviously going to see LeBron, going to the Drake concert in Toronto. All those things. That's fine. But you have money. I get it. It's an ethical thing. At the end of the day, rules are rules, and no matter what your background is, you have to get punished. But you have money. You have what most college kids would like to have, which is a nice way, good parents that have good money. And for this guy to be doing things like this, it's unbelievable. Realize that maybe in 5 years, no one's going to be talking about you. They'll be saying, oh, Johnny Manziel, that guy, that was once great. And now he's fallen off the face of the earth. Just saying. And I haven't even brought up yet of the issues last week in the Sports Illustrated issue about Johnny Football's parents speaking out, saying that he drinks to get rid of his problems. He can't handle the fame. Grow up. You can't keep saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You cannot say, I'm 20, I'm going to live my life, but don't judge me. You can't be posting all these things on social media with the Drake concert and going to see LeBron James and ask for privacy. It doesn't work that way. It really doesn't. I don't get it. And it's funny because a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, who's a potential Heisman favorite, says he doesn't go on social media during the season. He shuts it down because he wants to focus on football. Now that's a guy that is a role model. You know, he doesn't do all these things. He might not. We don't know because he doesn't post anything on social media. He doesn't go on Twitter. Doesn't go on Facebook. And maybe that's how it should be. Maybe college coaches need to understand that with so much access to technology, maybe they need to control it a bit. It's your program. Kevin Sumlin, you can tell Johnny Manziel, no Twitter, no Facebook. That might save him. I know I sound a little bit angry, but it's just ridiculous. The amount of coverage that he's had. Yeah, I get it. Everyone's saying, and the funny thing, I look at these comments, I'm like, saying ESPN's going to ruin this kid. Really? You think ESPN is going to ruin Johnny Manziel? Johnny Manziel is the only one that can ruin Johnny Manziel. That's it. He's the only guy that can ruin himself. Because he's posting all these things, and which causes controversy. I mean, a couple of months ago, he was saying, I can't wait to get out of Texas A&M. Yeah, ESPN's going to find that. They have resources. They have ways to get around. They're going to stalk you like a hawk. This is just a lesson for any star athletes that are doing these kinds of things. Because that will be the result. And then you'll be doing more things. And you know what? You're going to go on a downhill slope, and it's not going to end pretty. All right, we're going to take a short break, but after the break, a lot of football. First preseason game last night, Dallas Cowboys, Miami Dolphins. Tell you a little bit about that. Some of the news, a lot more injuries now, especially of offensive players. It's going to be tough. And then moving on to from football to football. One of the greatest American soccer players to ever play the game is coming home.